Welcome back to Life on the Rock. You're in the Rockhouse with the Rockhouse compadres. The only ones in the world, as far as we know. Father Mark, Mary, myself, Doug Barry. Very, very thrilled to be here. And for you out there in Radio Land, if you can't see the show, you need to know who you're listening to right now. It is Christophonic, the world famous Christophonic. And of course, the world famous Father Mike Schmitz as well.
Statewide, at least.
Statewide, yeah. And what state is that?
One of the 40. Well, how many?
I don't know, 57 according to our president? No, anyway.
Oh, man.
So here we're talking about Chosen, a great program. We talked about relevancy before, went to the break a bit about, that one boy who said, this has no relevance in my life, confirmation, the faith in general. And one of the areas where we know this is really hurting us is relationships. Marriage in particular, the divorce rate is atrocious, 50 to 60%. I was in New Mexico a few years ago. A priest said it's 75% in his diocese. Just brutal, brutal statistics. Cohabitation is up, and the idea of, I heard a sermon given by a minister of a different religion, and he said, it was someone's marriage. If this doesn't work out, there was always plan B. He was talking about divorce and remarriage at the wedding.
Oh, good Lord. Have mercy.
When I heard this, because I heard a clip of this, I couldn't believe this. But that's where we're at.
Yeah.
The relevancy of these things just is so kind of going through the fingers. But you address marriage in this.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what you just said, the human spirit, when it hears that, it knows it doesn't taste right.
Yeah, something's wrong with that.
And we ask them, like, how do you make the gospel relevant? It's inherently relevant. It blows me away. When I speak about things that I think, the world would tell you kids aren't going to listen to this, or give a chastity assembly, and suddenly kids stand up and clap afterwards. You're like, well, you were supposed to want to kill me. But it bolsters my faith constantly.
Right.
This is the message our hearts are made for. And they hear the wishy-washy garbage like that, even from pastors sometimes, and they know, yeah, I'm not made for this.
Right, right.
This is not. Something's wrong.
And Planned Parenthood, to MTV, VH1. I mean, all these efforts that are out there to just diminish and destroy and tear down the dignity of human love, the love that God has given us, to share with one another on different levels, especially in marriage. It's rampant and it's thick. And yet, as you said, Chris, when you're giving talks to youth on this and you give them the truth, something ignites inside of them. There's something there.
It resonates with what's already in the soul.
So we got a clip we're going to see of Jason Everett. We heard he's talked on relationships before.
Once or twice.
Yeah, he's been on the show a couple times. He's all right. You want to set the clip up at all before we go to it?
Yeah, no, go. He says it all.
Okay.
We got the best of the best for you here.
Awesome. All right, Jason Everett talking about what is marriage. Check it out.
Grandma and Grandpa were married for more than 60 years. Their names were Joseph and Mary, and they had 10 kids. They had a beautiful marriage. They would flirt with each other constantly. I grew up watching this. I remember as a boy seeing my grandpa come up to my grandma in the kitchen. He kind of whap and he hits her in the thigh, and he says, "Hi, my name's Joe." And she looks at him and she's like, "Huh, I know." I'm like, oh, they're 100, they're flirting. I love it. And when she passed away 2 years ago, I was there at the funeral right by the side of my grandpa. And just before they closed the casket, he stood beside me, and he's real weak, he's hip and knee replacements, and he leans over the casket, and he's shaking, and he kind of leans over, he just gives her a kiss on the nose, and he said, "Bye, babe." And I saw that, and I just said, that's it. That's what I want. I want a love that's stronger than death. But how do we get there from here? How do we get a marriage like that? We got to begin by understanding what marriage is. According to the church, the marriage is a total gift of yourself. Look at the wedding vows. You promise that this love that you're giving is a free love. It is a total love. You hold nothing back from one another. It is a faithful love, not just with your body, but even with your imagination and your heart. And it's a fruitful love that's open to the gift of life. And if you think about this is not an imposition of the church onto us. This is the very cry of our hearts for authentic human love. And so if that's the essence of marriage, what's the purpose of marriage? The purpose of marriage is for the procreation and the education of our children. That's where we get the word matrimony from, the duty of the mother. So part of the purpose of marriage is for the raising of children. The other purpose of marriage is for the mutual perfection and sanctification of the spouses. Because when you get married, your faults rise to the surface like oil and water so that you can be sanctified and grow in holiness. Now, if you think that the purpose of marriage is your personal happiness, well, I hope your marriage is happy, but honestly, that's not the purpose. Because if you think that that's the purpose, and it starts getting rough and tough and difficult, and all your faults come to the surface, well, that's when a lot of people bail out. But this is not God's plan for authentic human love. It's going to require us to die to ourselves.